Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your moderator for this evening, founder, Brown Girls Doc Mafia, Iyabo Boyd.
Check, check. Hey, everybody. How's it going? Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. My name is Iyabo. It's been a pleasure to welcome our guests on stage with us. I'll tell you a little bit about them as they join us. Today we're honored to present an early look at The Perfect Neighbor. We're looking at clips today, just to be clear, not the whole film. We're looking at clips. But we do have the filmmakers and a special guest to join us here to talk about the film. Please welcome them. Let's give them a round of applause. Director Geeta Gandbhir, executive producer Soledad O'Brien, producer Alisa Payne and Pamela Dias, Pamela Dias is the courageous mother of Ajike Owens, the subject of the film. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us. Thank you. Thank you all for being here.
So this film, I don't know if folks know that much about the film yet, but we're going to dive in here in a minute. But it documents a tragedy and interrogates the intersections of race, justice, and surveillance in our society, using police body cam footage as a central storytelling device. The footage not only brings raw immediacy to the screen, but also reveals the broader truth of a community fractured by a single violent act. To get us going, Geeta, can you tell us a little bit about how the project began?
Sure. So the project came to me and my partner, who's also producer on the film, Nakan Kwantu, through Nakan, as a producer, you all. But so through our family and Takima Robinson, who's an executive producer on the film, also here. Basically called us. She and her sister were very close with Ajike, her sister Kimberly Robinson, and on when Ajike was murdered, she called us, and we were on the ground immediately. Nakan went down to try to help with media presence, and because we work in the media, we really wanted to keep this story alive, and that was our aim. We weren't making a film at that time. It was just to support. And Takima is an incredible organizer and activist, so she was there to do the same thing. And we wanted to make sure that Susan Lawrence, who is the shooter, was brought to justice. And about 2 months into the work we were doing, the police department released the body camera footage. And we realized that there was a film there. We thought maybe it would just be of the incident, but the body camera footage went back 2 years. And you could really see the lead up to this terrible crime. But the most important thing, I think, for us was it was a vehicle into this beautiful community. You sort of see them before. And oftentimes with gun violence, which there's unfortunately so much of in our country, you only see the aftermath of a story. And you have to piece together what happened, through testimony. This is a real, you are absolutely immersed in this community that was thriving, living together, raising kids together, and doing really well. And what you see in the film is the impact of one outlier. Again, there is racism within that. There are so many things: racism, rage, anger. But the impact of one outlier emboldened by policy and what that person's access to a gun can do. So I think that's how the film came about.
So Soledad, I want to ask, this film is grounded in the Stand Your Ground issue in Florida, and can you tell us, coming from your experience in the news, how does a film like this kind of come to you, and what stands out about the opportunity of this storytelling?
Sort of in two ways. First, when Geeta and her team at Message Pictures ask you to do anything, just for everybody here, say yes immediately. Whatever it is, yes, we're in. And so that was the first thing. We've had an opportunity to work on other projects together. And then, of course, the second part was, at the beginning, no one really knew what it was. It was just, we have to go do something. So they were going to go immediately. And Geeta has said in past interviews, I'm a filmmaker, so that's what I do. I go and start making a film. So I don't think anybody really knew exactly what it was outside of just supporting and trying to understand. But I do think as a reporter who's covered a lot of stand your ground cases, after the fact, right? And you go back and you interview people and they tell you, it's so rare that you have this access to this video, this body cam. It's just so incredibly...
So quickly, too.
And so, and so I think the opportunity to, and you'll see it when you see the film, to be able to watch it unfold over time in real time is just crazy. Normally, somebody has to say, well, this happened, and then this happened, and you just have to interview them, and they piece it together. But here you get to see it, and I think that is really what makes this project so incredible and so special, and so impactful for people watching it. It's just, it unfolds, and it's like you can see the disaster coming, and you can also see how lots of people are not seeing the disaster on its way.
I would love to go to Pam, and thank you so much again for being here. And just, I know that you've been traveling with the film since Sundance and obviously been involved since day one. It's way too much to ask of any mother, who's lost someone. So sending love to you. And can you tell us a bit about your daughter and, your dreams for how this project can help your family?
Thank you. Ajike was such a big-spirited, big-hearted person. She prided herself, first and foremost, of being a mom. She was a single mother to 4 children. That gave her her greatest joy. She lived and breathed being a mom. She had such high hopes and aspirations. I would always tell her, okay, be humble, but she would emphatically say, the world is going to know my name. And I would say, okay, all right, be humble, just be humble. The world is going to know my name. She's like, you just wait and see. And sure enough, it's a tragedy that it had to happen this way, but at the same time, I should say it's bittersweet. I lost my daughter, the kids lost their mother, but at the same time, we get to show the world who she was and also make a difference. We get to shed light on laws such as stand your ground, as Geeta said, that embolden, empower, especially people with malicious, racist attitudes. And that's who Susan was. She was simply a racist woman that stood behind stand your ground laws, who shot and killed a single mother, my daughter. So it gives me some joy, some comfort that it didn't just end there, that the world will not just see her as a tragedy, as a statistic, but a real message, a real opportunity to spark a change, a catalyst to reform.
Thank you, Pamela. And I would love to show our first clip and introduce Perfect Neighbor to this audience. So please roll the first clip. It's a lot to digest. It's a challenging film, for sure. And, it's an important film. It's beautifully made. It's a really unique approach. And, Geeta, can you talk a little bit about, of course, the use of the body cam footage, but to take a half second for the filmmaker and what were you thinking when you saw the footage? How were you thinking about the edit?
So when we saw this footage, like I said, it was there was hours of of interviews also. There was audio interviews with the community that the detectives had done. And then there was this type of footage that you see of, the police actually in action. There was just so much, and there were phone calls that Susan had made. And I think that we felt that, like, Nakan and I watched it, and it felt like a narrative. The footage plays, again, as if, and the cops, without any intention to do so, functioned like a multi-camera shoot. Because often there were a number of them on scene, so they would just, again, be in different positions and different places, talking to different people at different times. And when Nakan and I, again, we went through all the footage at one point, we were working, Takima had brought on Benjamin Crump's team, and the lawyer, Anthony Thomas, who was working with us, asked us to go through the footage to see if there was anything to pull out for the media. So we went through all of it. And then we looked at each other and said, this plays almost like a thriller. You actually can see it build through time. And I got an incredible editor, Viridiana Lieberman, who worked with us to put this together. And we wanted to have that sensibility. It is a very deliberate thing. Again, as Soledad mentioned, and I've said it's true, I have no other skills. I've only been in film my whole life, so I know nothing else. But the one thing I do know is, like, if we can get an audience to watch this from beginning to end, and if we can make it play like a narrative, then we might be able to impact hearts and minds. Because you can see this on the news, you can read about it, you can, we can watch it on social media, we see it unfold all the time. But this story and the way that we treat our neighbors, that is the microcosm of how we show up in the world, right? And basically, the question to me was also, I think for all of us, is how do you go from living across the street from someone to taking out a gun and shooting them? And again, and I think in this polarized time, this film feels so unfortunately prescient. We are seeing things happening around the world at a much larger scale, but it starts here. It starts with us, and it starts with how we show up in our community and how we treat each other and those who live closest to us. So I think that was part of also the goal of this film. It is Ajike's story, but it's all of our story. This could be any one of us. This could be, any one of our daughters. It could be any one of our sons, and unfortunately, too often it is. But we think that this is something that everyone can connect to universally, because we all live in a community. We all live with neighbors. And how do we deal with our conflicts? This is really the question.
And Alisa, can you talk to us about putting together this kind of project? Like, as a producer, it's overwhelming. The emotion is so on the surface at all times with a project like this, especially working so closely with the family. So what was really important to you and the team as you embarked on it?
Yeah, so as Geeta said, it came from the family. Geeta and I are business partners at Message Pictures, but we're also, I call her my sister wife. Nakan is my second husband, and my real husband, Miguel, is sitting next to him. So we are a close-knit community. We have been together as a married quadruple for 20 years, right? And so when you get the call that this happens, I don't need to know the person on this side of it, but I know that Takima, who is now also my family, is in the middle of this. And so we have to make sure. What we do at Message Pictures is tell stories that need to be told, right? And we meet at the intersection between social justice, education, and sometimes in this, and high filmmaking, not sometimes, high filmmaking, right? And so wanting to make sure that I have someone who is a genius like Geeta, who we're gonna make sure that we make her film vision, but also that we remember what's at stake, what is in the center. This film also, a lot has been said, and I can echo everything, but one of the things that we are so happy about is that this film, beyond the stand your ground. Sorry, I only got 2 hours of sleep because we have another project that I'm working on, but yeah. So besides stand your ground legislation and trying to change that, Pam who is a superwoman, right? Who's made out of something different. Please, let's give Pam a round of applause. If you don't know what this person... Pam, Takima, and the team, they started a fund, standinginthegapfund.org, please look it up, to help people impacted by racial violence. When something like this happens, when they called me that Friday, I didn't think about all the layers. You don't think about what it costs to funeralize people. There's a loss of wage, there's all the emotional things. The children need therapy. And it's also, like Geeta said, this is grief work for us. So we also are going through that. And we need to make sure that in addition to trying to handle the family with care, we're taking care of ourselves, right? And so it's always the delicate balance of trying to make sure, as a producer, I always tell people I'm the mother of everyone in the credits. When kids are like, well, what do you do? I'm the mother of everyone in the credits. Trying to make sure that everyone is felt cared for. Pam and I had a call yesterday for an hour last night before this because I just needed to know that she was okay, and that's what the whole process had been. And then after, we're so thankful to our partners at Netflix, after it goes to Netflix, making sure that what we intend to happen in the world happens, and to make sure that Netflix is also going to do what we really want to do, which is make an impact. And we are so grateful that they're doing that. Yes, thank you.
Can you talk more about that, Pam, about the culture of care and also this impact and visibility that you want to bring to the story?
So, Geeta, first of all, I just want to say, the whole team, they have been like family. No, not like family, they are family. So I first want to just thank all of them, including Netflix. As Alisa said, they have just handled us with such care and love and professionalism and integrity. We have gone beyond just sitting in a tragedy. Yes, the death of my daughter should have never happened. Yes, it was senseless. But now we move forward and helping the world to see what gun violence can do, the devastation, what stand your ground laws can do. It breaks up families. The kids have lasting traumas. So with that, it gives me purpose to move beyond my pain and my grief. So with the Standing in the Gap Fund, it allows me to give back to my community, to other people who look like me, other people who feel what I felt, to lessen some of the burden that they may carry. It will never take away the pain. Nothing we do, no matter what our intentions, the work, the film, the message, it will never take away the deep-seated pain that you live in when you experience a tragedy such as this. But what we can do is move forward and make positive strides in changing laws, legislations, helping other families, making impact in our communities. That's my life mission now, beyond raising my 4 beautiful grandchildren, is giving back to the world that and sometimes was unkind and didn't treat us well, but also to the world who cared and supported us.
Thank you. We'd love to dive deeper into the film. If we could show another clip and we can continue talking about the project. This is for anyone. Being able to see the bodycam footage is fascinating in so many different ways. I'm curious what if anything, what was surprising to you all as you reviewed the footage, even you, Pam, like what was surprising seeing the film or seeing the footage itself over time, yeah?
I think you three should talk about it because I've seen it so many times that I am in your...
I'm happy to start because I've probably seen it the fewest times. I think it's such an interesting point of view, right? I mean, again, you are not layering in a reporter who's cherry picking who they're going to interview. The police show up and they interview people, and you get to see the beginning, the stupid, ridiculously inane beginning of what is going to be a horrible tragedy. And so I think just the point of view of having the police officers really act in a way as the reporters is so interesting. It also gives you insight into the neighborhood in a way, again, that I don't think if you just showed up and started shooting and interviewing people that you would get that, because the body cam catches a very multiracial community where the kids are running around together, where they refer to each other as, well, that's my kid. I mean, not my real kid, but my other kid. And you see a neighborhood that's so intact and so loving and so together that ultimately at the end is just utterly destroyed. And so I think the body cam just provides this point of view that you could not possibly replicate in any other way. And then of course it's over years. You get to see it unfold. It's just remarkable.
We also get to see, that clip is really important to us because we get to see the beautiful daughter that Pam raised, right? And so you see Ajike in life here and you hear her and you see her and you're like, this is Pam's child, right? So you see her. The other thing about the body cam footage is that there are so many people who want to doubt that when we say this happens, they want to find a reason and do all of that. You have it from the police. We are not putting anything on it. We're not, you have it. And our editor would always say, we're trusting the audience. We are presenting what we have, and we are trusting the audience to see what really happens, right? So this is not us manipulating anything. So if you are doubting that stand your ground hurts families and harms communities, because not only was this family hurt, the whole community was traumatized. Relationships, families broke up, people got divorces, children had behavioral issues because of this, and other problems in families, right? So if you are doubting and you're saying that they're exaggerating, there is no way you can see this film and think that again.
What's also interesting with this clip is when the police officer comes over and says, I see you're on the phone, we were actually on the phone at that moment. And I'm telling her, just go inside. She didn't like that. So you see her, she's hanging up because she didn't like what I told her. Just go inside, you know. So to see that, the police body camera footage capturing even a conversation, although you can't hear it, is very, I was just blown away when I saw that, as many other scenes. But also, the key thing with the body camera footage is that it's no one's opinion. It's no one's biases. It's what really happened. It's true live events as they unfolded. No one's editing it. You get to see exactly what happened, and you get to make up your mind as to what truly transpired. There's really no making up your mind because you see it. As they said, you see it from the beginning, you see the middle, and you see the end, unfortunately. So that's creative genius. Thank you.
And the you know, I don't want to spoiler, but you also get to see, I don't know wherever, well.
Interrogation.
Yes, you get to see interrogation footage too of Susan later, which is like fascinating and wild to have that kind of access. But Geeta, like, I feel like, you know, when we're talking about Black people, we're oftentimes assuming that the police are going to be part of the problem, right? And I was surprised myself that these officers, as you see in the film over time, they're very casual and very not familial, but they're like, they have a rapport with the neighborhood. Can you talk to us a little bit about, I don't know if that was surprising to you, or tell us more about how that neighborhood was able to get that kind of relationship with the police, their character in the film?
So it's really interesting. This comes up again and again, and oftentimes, since we've screened the film, we were at Sundance, and then have the Sundance Film Festival, and have been fortunate enough to be in many places with it since. And I think people are often surprised. They're like, oh, the police, they're not, coming in guns blazing. They're not being harmful as we would expect. However, I think the thing that we always talk about is the fact that the police, ultimately the worst possible outcome, despite this police presence, did happen. And the police honestly never, because of their own biases, never saw Susan, who is the shooter and is a 60-year-old white woman, as a threat. And Susan, so their own biases played into their treatment of the people in the community and Susan. And again, Susan called the police many, many, many times over the course of 2 years, which is why we have this footage, over children playing in a yard, in her neighbor's yard, and being noisy, according to her, being disruptive or being a nuisance. And Susan, as was told to Alisa by a former police officer at one of our screenings, Susan should have been flagged as a problem. She should have never had access to a gun. And yet, and there were other things which you will see in the film, other events that occur, where she really should have been flagged, that were unrelated to the children, but her behavior should have made her, again, questionable. And yet, it went over, no one saw it. And to me, and I'm going to make a really weird comparison, but I feel like, to me, in a lot of horror films, and one of them, I've read the book Stephen King's It at way too young an age, but sometimes children recognize, in films like that are fantastical, children recognize a threat that no one else can see. And this film, to me, what I saw in this footage was the same thing. The children knew exactly who Susan was. Her neighbors knew that she was problematic, but as adults, again, they didn't necessarily feel threatened by her, but they understood that she was odd and off, and her behavior was racist and inappropriate and all the things. The police did not. And so it's, again, this is how the police, they fail our communities again and again and again. Had Susan been a black or brown person, had Susan been, Takima told me to say it again, had she been a black or brown person, the first time, right?
Not the second or the third or the fourth or the fifth.
Like she would have been a problem. Yeah, and they would have been like, lady, you call us again. You do this again. Like it's going to be on you. You're going to be fined. Or you are actually the issue.
And if we are truthful about this, this is usually my question. So, and I get very worked up about it, right? Because if we're very truthful about it, we see Ajike in this clip, and when this scene plays more, you see her taking a posture where she knows what she's saying is correct, but because she is a black woman in America, she cannot challenge the police officer who's saying something that's inaccurate. Not that black woman who was totally wonderful and caring for her. And so the people in that community knew she was harmful, but they also know if they're gonna do what she's doing and call, if I call tomorrow because the white woman is being a nuisance to me, they will kill me, right? So there's, to me, and I'm the person on the team, as you can see, I'm very worked up about it. I cross my legs and everything. I'm so upset about it. But the police were absolutely harmful. And there are varying degrees of the harm. There are some people, some of them are like cute kids and they're funny and they're interacting with the children. Some of them just believe everything Susan say. And I think about the fact that if they were not paired with another person, another officer that was not as mild as them, it would have got ugly quicker. But the fact that there is a person who lost her life, that means that it was a total failure and they were all harmful. The fact that they could walk around and be like, oh, I've dealt with this before, and think that that was okay and be nonchalant about it and just go and talk to her is a problem. And so, as a mother of 2 Black children, as a Black woman myself, sitting next to my sister right here who's raising 4 children because of their negligence, I cannot in any way condone and say that their actions were not harmful. Not in this community, not in this room right here.
And I think the film really underscores the privilege in having people think, oh, she's just this crazy, annoying old lady, right? The privilege that comes with that to the point of someone being murdered, right? To the point of someone being killed.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is ultimately, and in certain reviews, but also the children themselves, she is the neighborhood Karen. She is, the children even, kind of in the way kids do will be like, oh, the Karen. They refer to her as the Karen. And again, but it's like the harm that can actually be done, again, by weaponizing privilege, by weaponizing your privilege. This is what we see in the film.
Let's see a little bit more. Please, no, we're going to do a questions at the end. Okay, so get your thoughts together. But let's go to the next clip, please.
You see what I'm saying? Imagine if that one who was believing Susan was by himself or paired with someone else who was more aggressive.
And those are AJ's beautiful children, your grandchildren in the film there, which I didn't realize until the end. And I was like, oh my God, I feel like I need to watch it again just to see those incredible children, and those moments that are so challenging, ultimately. It's a very emotional film. As a mother myself, I had a really hard time with it. But can we talk a little bit about, about portraying the children in the film? Especially, again, it's a personal project. I mean, they're obviously lending so much humanity and character to this neighborhood. But what were your thoughts about including them?
I think the children for us actually are the heart of this film. Because you really, again, we were talking about children. Again, you see, these are as one of them said, we're 11, right? We're 11 and we're kids. This is what they're doing. And again, I think as we've talked about, there is no, we are not making this up. We are not, you see how they are behaving. They're doing things that anyone would dream of. Who doesn't dream of a street where the kids can be out and about and just playing with each other and all the neighbors look out, right? That's like the fantasy that we would all want. But I think and you see that happening here. And again, the neighbor, I get with her, her perspective, which is racist, again, is vilifying them, adultifying them, calling the police on them. Even if they were doing the things in any way that she claimed they were doing, they're minors. They're children. The fact that police are called on children in this way, and again, it happens so often in Black and brown communities that children are adultified and made out to be dangerous and made out to be threats when they're not. There is no denying these children. And I think for us, it was really incredibly important to have them in and for you all to see, for the audience to see, them just being kids. And as any parent, like I said, you see the gentleman who comes out, he basically is like, I look out for these kids like they're my own. He knows them all. It's all the parents do that. And so I think that, again, oftentimes the way that the communities and the people within them that are most affected by violence are also the most criminalized was something that we wanted to combat with this film. And the footage, again, speaks for itself. You can't see that and not realize that mythology and those narratives are complete falsehoods.
Yeah, it's my favorite part of the film because I think, there is this mythology which the media, unfortunately, constantly, I think, reinforces that Black and brown children are older, scarier, and these are like the kidsiest kids you've ever seen. They're just so funny and they're just playing all the time, running and chasing each other, popping up, trying to get in the camera. And again, it's not a journalist who's shooting that. It's not someone who's come in with an agenda to tell a story, right? That's just the cops POV on what is happening and unfolding in this film, in this moment. And I just love that you really get a great sense of a bunch of little kids playing together, multiracial group of kids playing together and just being kids on the street. And I love that center of the film because it really underscores like just how crazy this lady is, right? This idea that those are the big bad children that she's constantly, chronically complaining about. And you can see the evidence that they're just kids.
When I see this clip, I see my grandchildren as their true, authentic selves, and that no longer exists. We see them, be happy, playing with the doll, playing with their friends, just carefree, no worries, and all of that was just taken away from them. Now they're sad, stressed, worried. They've been exposed to things that children should not have to be exposed to. I have to have conversations with them that they're really not mentally or developmentally prepared for. They don't understand how and why this happened. So it's a sad situation. It's harmful, it's hurtful, and it was just a loving community. Neighbors being neighbors, kids getting along, playing together, families raising their children together, and a single act of violence just came through like a hurricane and destroyed all of that.
I think that this clip for me shows the beauty in the community, and it shows that, because sometimes we do this work and it's so heavy. And I remember when we first showed this in Sundance and people, before when we were preparing for Sundance and, we were in finishing and the team, Geeta and our editor were laughing at that point. And I kept saying, I have no laughs in me. I just have no laughs in me. And then after watching with audiences, I realized, I'm like, oh, these kids in this moment allows you, this film is not all gloom and doom, right? And if children are that, right? Children, pets, so they allow you to take a reprieve. This moment allows you to see the beauty in the community, the beauty in the children, but also I think it rounds out the film. It gives a break. It allows you to be in the community in a way that, as Geeta had said before, if we only joined it at the end, after the tragedy, and as Pam said, it's not only those children that are affected, it's all of the children that have been affected, and you get to see them before and who they really were and all the possibility that they had before that.
I'm wondering, Soledad, if you can talk to me about the tension between the body cam footage, the idea of, I think it's been maybe 10, 15 years. I don't know how long it's been that police have been required to have body cams, but also the concept of surveillance. And also, that's also something that as Black and brown people, we're not super excited about, but in this case and in some others, body cam footage can be helpful, but there's a tension there. I don't know, can we unpack that a little bit?
Yeah, I think it all began with, not body cam, but Rodney King, right? This idea that when you capture something, it becomes now factual. You're not going to have sides get into you and say, you didn't see it, you have it wrong. And millions of times we've seen people say, well, then just show the video. And people who claim whatever suddenly are shown to be liars. And so, yeah, I think we have seen body cam clearly be used for bad and body cam be used for good. And I think generally, as I think about technology, that it just ends up being sort of neutral, right? Sometimes it's going to be helpful to understand what's happening. Sometimes it's going to be used in nefarious ways. In this particular case, I just love that it's not a reporter who's going in and cherry picking and choosing and telling you later, this thing happened, and now I'm going to piece it together for you. And I've interviewed these 10 people, and they're going to tell you the story, but I've chosen them, and it's their recollections of something that started, they think 2 years ago, might be more, might be less, right? You just get to see what factually unfolds. And so I think it's just so important and so remarkable and so factual. And again, when you're talking about stand your ground cases, of which unfortunately there have been a lot, it seems like it's up for debate. It seems like it's up for debate. And it's so incredibly valuable to be able to say, well, actually, let's go to the videotape. Let's go see what actually happened. And so I think it's just absolutely essential and important and really obviously in this film just used so well.
The one thing I just want to add to that is that it was our intention to collectively, again, to take this body camera footage is, as Soledad said, used to surveil Black and brown communities and vulnerable communities. It is a tool of the police and again, meant to protect us, often used against us, right? Meant to protect us. But the police do not serve our interests. And I think that, but what we did want to do in this case, one of the intentions was to subvert the use of the body camera footage and to take it and flip it on its head. Again, it is often used to criminalize us and to show that the police did their job and, et cetera, et cetera. It's twisted in that way, but for us, it was really important to use it to showcase the community. And what this footage with the children does is just that. Like, again, showing it in this light, you cannot help but see, it humanizes this community. And I don't believe that was the intention of the police who were filming it, but we are using it for that. So it's also a way of a pushback and a resistance to the the normal usage of body cam footage.
Imagine if you had 2 years of Trayvon Martin video, and interactions, right? It would just add so much information to what end up being people's own opinions about something. And none of us, most of us never got to see him as a living child, And so I think for me, it just always adds so much value.
Truly, and I was just re-looking at Trayvon's case today, and he had been in that neighborhood in and out multiple times. He had a relative living there, so it was a similar situation where it's like a community that he was a part of in some ways. So that is, it's fascinating to bring that into it. We're going to show one last clip, and then we're going to have some questions. There will be a mic in the audience as well. So let's go ahead and check out the last clip.
Can you imagine a scenario where a Black person shoots a white lady through a locked door and everyone's like, you know what? We just need some time to think about it and review some of the stuff, and we're going to get back to you, and we'll just be patient. It would just never happen, ever.
Yeah, and I just want to flag also that there's this amazing footage also that I think is it from AJ's house across the street where we see, I think, her oldest son just before the shooting.
Phyllis's house.
Alyssa.
It's a neighbor.
The
Phyllis.
neighbor's
house.
camera, the neighbor's Ring camera.
Being able to see the neighbor's Ring camera is also, I think, one of the most incredible shots in a doc I've ever seen in terms of sustaining the amount of time in that build-up. It's, I'm a filmmaker, so as a film person, I didn't know what was happening. I was like, oh snap, this is the shot, and it blew my mind. And I have to say, all hats off to Geeta and the team and your editor. That's got to be. I'm going to recognize you in this moment if there's not more recognition about at least that shot by itself is documentary game changer. Okay. Questions from the audience? So many questions. Is there a mic somewhere?
We're going to let Soledad call on people.
Yeah.
Is there a microphone?
And I always start with, make sure your question has a question.
Yes, please. Is there a microphone? In the back?
Oh, right here.
Will you come in the front here?
There's some folks right up front.
Thank you.
Hi, is it cool if I stand up?
Yeah, please, stand up.
Cool. This is for Ms. Geeta. As a director coming from an editorial background, how did you influence your collaboration in decision-making process in shaping the film structure?
So I think it's funny. This film, again, heartbreaking, right? Something that should have never been made. But this material was for someone who was an editor, myself, before I started directing. I mean, it was a fascinating, incredible puzzle, and something that it was, again, grief work, but I felt, I think myself and Viri Diana, who's my editor, we had to piece together everything. So imagine when we received this body camera footage, it was in pieces, right? So there's sometimes 6, 7 cops on the scene, but we didn't know, where one's camera began and the other ended, so we had to sync them all. We had to figure out, for example, there's a bunch of 911 calls. We had to synchronize them so we could figure out which caller was calling and which operator was answering. And I just have a brain that loves that kind of stuff, because of that editing background. And really, the story pieced itself together in the process of that syncing. Like it was a puzzle for us. And I think and then in getting into it, like I said, I mentioned before, the cops, with zero intention of doing so, gave us different angles. And you could see it when the 2 cops are talking. Again, this is a filmmaking moment, but they're talking to each other. And if that was a narrative film, you would have set up a 2-camera shot, and they'd do it just because they're facing each other. So there was, in this footage, and cops always have to show up in pairs, right? There's 2 of them. So that rule ultimately ended up helping us. And we were able to really get a 360, which we wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So I think for us, the arc is chronological of the story for the most part, but being an editor, I think really, really helped me. Those skills really came into play with this. And my editor is also just an intuitive, brilliant person who we've worked together for a long time, so we have a shared language. And she really, as Alisa said, she believed in the audience, as did I. Like a lot of times with a lot of films today, there needs to be a lot of hand-holding. Folks want to, I feel like a lot of places that are putting out films don't believe the audience is as smart as they are. And I know exactly how smart my audience is, I know what they will get.
And beautiful, too.
Okay, we have 5 minutes, so let's see if we can squeeze in 2 questions, okay? Again.
Hello. Hi. This question is for Miss Pam. My condolences to you. My cousin is Philando Castile, and my first cousin, his mother is Valerie. And people don't understand that after everything is done, there's a family. And for my cousin, I was that person in the middle of the night that she would call me at 3 a.m. and say, I just want my son, I just want my baby. Sorry. And I just wanted to say that we understand, and I want to know are those people for you in the middle of the night when you just want your baby girl. Who is that person? Who are those people that surrounds you with love? Because I understand, because I was there for my cousin, and people don't see that part, that this is a family, and after everything is done, we have to deal with the aftermath of something like this. Thank you.
Yes. So, my sincere, sincere condolences. For me, first of all, no one can understand unless they've been through it. And for me, I am a person that I don't like to bother anybody. I don't ask for anything. So there's many nights that I say exactly what you just said. I want my baby back. I want my baby. I just want to talk to her. We talked almost every single day, multiple times a day. So what I do, I cry out to myself. Literally, I cry out to myself. I have people that I can lean on. Many are here, but it's me that I go to. I think I just dig within myself and find my inner strength. And I trust that God makes no mistakes, that it's for a reason, a purpose, and I lean on that. And then I have a couple mothers friends who are mothers that have experienced the same type of loss. So we have that bond and that connection. And I'll reach out and I say, when does it get better? And they tell me it doesn't. But we have each other. So I think you just have to find someone that has gone through like experience. And most of all, whatever your faith, your belief system is, and hold on to that. But deep within, that's where you draw your strength. That first is God, and then it's myself within. Because I just don't want to be a burden. I feel that my grief, my pain, my anguish is my burden to bear. And I just don't want to inflict that on anyone else. Because, thank you.
I'm so sorry, but we are out of time. And I just want to say thank you again to this team and to Pam for being here and to Martha's Vineyard for having us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Iyabo.
Thank you, Iyabo. I just want you to shout out this person who is an incredible leader in our industry, Iyabo Boyd, founder of Girls Doc Mafia. So, all praise is due.